Hello, and this is King here with another Raid Shadow Legends video. And this time I was going to do, not really showcasing a team, but rather showcasing an ability, or two abilities at that. So, just a quick thing. So, this new team 14 here, this is my standard everyday team. We've got Warcaster there with the increased critical rate for Venus, and that's it. Pretty simple team, block damage, no one dies. Now I'm going to run the exact same champions in the exact same gear. Now that team that I use every day, it's a 1-key team on all difficulties, on all affinities, without fail. But this team here, it won't be a 1-key, but it could be if I built the champions for this team. But I don't want to redo the whole teams, I just really want to showcase the ally protection. So Venus, Seeker, and Doompriest, you'll notice they've all got really low defense and not so great HP. That's because they run in a block damage team, so they don't need survivability. But then Versov the Grim and Jareg. These are the guys that I'm going to be using with their ally protection and increased defense. And we're going to see how long they can keep these three very squishy champions alive for just using this ability. So they're going to be there instead of the block damage champions. Now Versov the Grim, his is actually on a 3-turn cooldown, not a 4-turn, but to get around that, as I was booking him for Clan vs Clan, his A2 is still on a 4-turn cooldown, so I'm going to prioritize that, so that way his A3 comes in every 4th turn still. So they're going to be going last after the double turn, and they're going to switch. So for example, in the Clan Boss AoE 1, he'll be Versov the Grim protecting, then Jareg, and Versov, Jareg, and so on and so on. So Versov at 244 and Jareg at 267. Very simple, very easy, fun little team maybe. Again, if you built Doompriest and Seeker out to survive, and maybe even swapped Venus out for a Razin Scarhide, it'll probably be a 1-key team. Or of course you could swap Venus out for any other DPS champion, as long as you can build them strong enough. But yeah. So Venus should be the first to die with insanely low defense, but Seeker's got pretty bad defense and pretty bad HP. Doompriest has just got bad defense. So it'll be interesting to see. Well, let's run the team and find out. It's a Force Affinity, Ultra Nightmare. Obviously this team setup is full auto, everything about it is auto on difficulty, affinities and whatnot. But yeah. So I showed this team before with a Helicath and Warcaster. It is one of the easiest teams. It's the team I use every day because it 1-keys everything and you don't have to do any manual play whatsoever. And the champions can still be pretty much used in other areas, such as Venus. She's still a decent damage dealer for faction wars. She's got high accuracy for Doom Tower and that sort of stuff. Then you've got Doompriest. So Doompriest I still use in Doom Tower. She's solid and awesome, but with this build she just happens to deal a bit of extra damage. Seeker is just a nice fast champion, so if you wanted to use him in like a 3v3 team or something, he's still got the speed to do that. Maybe not the first champion to go, but still the speed to go ahead with it. And then my Helicath and my Warcaster, Warcaster I don't really use him anywhere else, but I don't think I even use him in Faction Wars. But Helicath, use him a fair bit, he's pretty good. So then I'm swapping those two block damage champions out with Versov and Jareg. I'm really curious to see how long they'll survive, and if it'll be a 2-key team, even though my other 3 champions are not built to survive whatsoever. I'll show you the gear after the run, but as a quick one, Versov the Grim and Jareg are both in Stalwart. Because Versov the Grim brings the Leech, I didn't need to bring in any other heals. Same for all the other champions, that's why I could just run them in the exact same gear, because of Versov the Grim bringing in that Leech. So everyone should heal up with the damage they do. And then the ally protection and the increased defense would definitely help the team. Obviously Seeker's going to be taking the stun hits, because he's highest in the champion order, and he is weak affinity at magic affinity. If I versed a, say, magic affinity clan boss, it would actually be the strongest affinity to verse. But again, if I was to verse, say, Spirited Affinity, I would take Versov out of the lead, and I'll put Jareg in the lead, and then I would have Doom Priest higher in the turn order than Versov. So that way, I'm making sure that it's Doom Priest that takes the stun hit, not Versov. So that way, I can make sure that the champion taking the stun hit is under ally protection. Because if Versov the Grim uses his ally protection and then takes the stun hit, he's not under protection. So that's the whole purpose of that. And of course, Versov and Jareg both have really high HP, so you don't want them taking the stun. But they both also have good auras, so you also want one of them in the lead. So yeah, one of them in the lead, one of them at the back, and then I've got a magic and a force affinity, so that works out pretty well. For damage, the team's going pretty decent. Obviously I'm losing out because I'm not getting Helicaths or Warcasters damage, because Versov and Jareg both do very low damage. Obviously, because they're ally protection champions, you don't want to build any critical damage on them. But as for the other champions, their damage seems to be going alright. Venus will have a massive damage drop compared to usual, because she isn't built with 100% critical rate, because I use the critical rate aura for Void champions from Warcaster. So she's going to lose damage, but other than that, everyone else should be pretty well the same. Seeker's obviously on weak affinity, so damage won't be great there. And then Doom Priest will be doing her stuff. But yeah, interesting team, keeping up with pretty much 1 mil per turn, just above from the looks of it. So if I can survive till turn 40, it's a 2-key team. And I believe I will, the way things are going. Could all go sideways with a couple critical hits here and there. Again, I don't have any champions stripping the increased attack, so that is a big negative. That's where a Razin Scarhide instead of Venus could be really good for a team like this, or even a Geomancer. Because if you were to build a team like this with ally protection champions, you'd probably want to make a real survivable team. So if you brought in a Geomancer instead of Venus, that'll give you damage mitigation, and then he will also deal a bunch of damage, and he will steal that increased attack as well. So that would be really good for him. The team might survive longer. But then Razin Scarhide, he will come in with the decreased defense and the weaken, of course. And his A1 will also strip the increased attack and deal a ton of damage. So you could go either way with a team like this. Doom Priest, of course, she isn't needed for every single affinity. I have her in there, so that way I never have to switch for Spirit Affinity or different affinities depending on the stun target. So she's just in there, easy, does it. Doesn't matter who gets stunned or what affinity. Yeah. Also, I'm going to be trying out Ultimate Death Knight soon. He will be super cool. Tell me in the comments what you guys are going to do with him. If you're excited for him, or if you think he's trash, or whatever you reckon. His shield isn't great, but I think for people coming up in Clan Boss, especially Nightmare mode rather than Ultra Nightmare, he could be a game changer. He might even be able to bring people's accounts from doing Nightmare to doing a 2 or a 3 key Ultra Nightmare. If you'd like to see it, I could actually run him in a Clan Boss team. Base a Clan Boss team around him. If you do want me to do that, let me know what sort of gear you think I should try and run. Like if I should try and go really low level gear, or if I should try and get some decent enough gear that it'll make it a 2 key. Let me know what you think. Yeah, because it's a pretty cool champion. You know, he's got the he's definitely not suited for Clan Boss specifically, but his defense base, he's got a little bit of damage. He's got decreased attack, a continuous heal, and a shield. So 3 really good abilities, perks or whatever for Clan Boss. But his entire kit isn't really based for Clan Boss. But again, let me know what you think. I could have some fun, build a team around him, and see what happens. This team here's damage is actually getting up there, much better than I thought it would. I really thought Venus would be doing a lot less damage, but I suppose with her poisons and HP burn she gets a lot of damage from that. And I guess she still hits half decent even without the critical hits. Yeah. So yeah, Versatile the Grim and Jareg both hitting pretty well 30k hits. So that's decent. And then of course you also got the Giant Slayer or War Master, whatever it's called, abilities adding into that. Team's quite interesting. If you want to... Okay, this is just like a standard Seeker or Batman team or whatever it's called. With using Seeker to go on a 2-to-1 ratio, and then a Doom Priest as your cleanse, and then your two last champions as survivability. But you don't always have to go with Ally Protection champions. You could also do like a Sepulchre Sentinel, and maybe even like a what's it called? Anyone that's got increased defense and block buffs on a full turn. Maybe Grizzled Jarl if he wasn't booked, or Achuk the Wenderin. I think he's got increased defense, or it might be strengthened. I can't quite remember. But yeah, so you could use them, and then for example with the champion that only has block debuffs for one turn, such as the Grizzled Jarl or the Achuk the Wenderin or whatever it is, you would have them go the second, so they'll be the fastest champion. So that way they're the last champion to go every time, where if you have the champion like Sepulchre Sentinel, then she's got the block debuffs and the increased defense for 2 turns. So it doesn't matter if a champion goes after her for one turn. So that could be a really good team, because that way every time before the clan boss goes, you've got increased defense and you've got block debuffs, and then you don't need a Doom Priest. So you could bring in an Ally Protection champion, or you could bring in more passive, so you could bring in Guardian sets with leeches and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, that could be a cool team as well. So Seeker really does open up a lot of opportunities for your teams. So this team here, there you go, died just before a 2k. Again, if you put a couple hundred more defense on each one of those champions, you got an easy 2k team there. And you could do that just by swapping out the rings and the amulets, and that'll probably make this team a 2k team. But I wanted to really test them out without them doing any changes. So we'll go into the champions, right? So if we have a look at Venus here, so obviously she's in Relentless and counterattack accessories, but just crazy low defense. For her to survive that long on 1980 defense on Ultra Nightmare is bonkers. That just really shows how strong Ally Protection is. And increased defense, of course, is amazing, because without increased defense, your champions need to be 4,100 or higher. But if you've got increased defense, then you can get away with 3,000-ish defense, and you'll be pretty sweet. Then of course if you've got an Aura, even less. If you've got Iron Braga with his passive, even less. So increased defense really makes gearing easier. And then as for Ally Protection, just mitigating 50% of that damage is just ridiculous. So yeah, you could chuck a few hundred extra defense on her and the other champions and you would be sweet. So Versatile the Grim, his gear was just Stalwart and a speed set. He's got one counterattack accessory, just try and get a little bit, so really low critical damage, not quite crit cap, speed, sort of low defense for a tank champion, and sort of low HP for a tank champion. But really good accuracy. I just chucked in some random gear. My Stalwart gear isn't the best, and I just wanted to get him in some gear that would make the team work in a composition. I knew that his survivability wasn't going to be an issue. His masteries, I didn't even finish them. I just went down here and picked up War Master, didn't go any defense or support, didn't even pick up a Heart of Glory or anything like that. Venus, her damage was just setup was this here, great for the for this team in the block damage. Of course I don't need defense tree with the block damage, so she was pretty sweet there. And then who else did we have? We had So there was Seeker and Doom Priest, that was the other champion. So Doom Priest here, haven't changed Doom Priest masteries. This is my Doom Tower. Doom Priest, Doom Tower. This is my Doom Tower build for Doom Priest that I've just put Doom Priest into some solid damaging gear, so that way I always get a 1 key on Clan Boss no matter what. 99% critical rate. What a shame. 169 damage, 3000 attack. Yeah, pretty simple. Very basic. Not a great hitter, but all in all, makes it work with that speed tune. Then we had Seeker here. So Seeker, very low, 2,500, not too bad defense, but yeah, pretty terrible. Just in mostly rare gear, just really hit that speed requirement and do a tiny bit of damage. That's Seeker's only job here. Defense tree was to pick up the counterattack deterrence, because we do take that stun hit and then Doom Priest cleanses it. And then of course grabbing up War Master. And then we had Jareg. So his masteries were actually completed. Wow. Also picking up War Master and then some extra accuracy, Law of Steel, and then Sniper and Master Hexer for his decrease attack. Another great ability. He's a really interesting champion for Clan Boss. Damage based on attack, which is weird, but so be it. You don't bring him in for the damage. He's got ally HP in all battles by 33%, and ally protection, increased defense on all allies for 2 turns. You can use him as your main protection champion. You could have him going on a 4-to-3 ratio, and everybody else going on a 1-to-1 ratio, and him having his double turn, say, after the Clan Boss AoE 1, and then after and him go last again to place the ally protection, increased defense, and then after that, the first champion in the next round, so after the AoE 2, could place a extend buffs, and then everybody will have ally protection and increased defense. Everyone will have ally protection except for him, but everyone will have increased defense for the entirety of the fight. So really solid champion for Clan Boss. He was also running the Stalwart gear. His gear setup was pretty good. 64k HP, 3k defense, not bad. Over the crit cap very easily, and enough accuracy to get the job done. So a real good champion there, real fun champion. Yeah, great champion for Clan Boss. Very old school champion, but still fantastic. Does his job very well. Solid champion. So yeah, I just thought I'd just do this video here and just showcase how strong ally protection and increased defense really can be. Now, if I was to run that team with the exact same champions, even with increased defense, but without ally protection, Venus would be dying within 15, maybe even 20 turns. Like, she would be gone, and then the other champions would follow very quickly after her. So yeah, not really a team showcase, just more of an ability showcase. Hope you liked it. If you did, let me know. Thanks for watching the whole video. That's pretty awesome. And if you're up for it, do subscribe. I don't make a lot of videos with work and everything, but when I get time and I save up resources, then I make some videos. So if you subscribe and whatnot, then you'll get a notification when I drop them. This one here was just a bit of an interesting one for people who are maybe a bit newer, don't quite know how good ally protection is, especially in Clan Boss. But if you don't have, say, block damage or an unkillable or just insanely good gear, bring ally protection. If you can't bring ally protection, consider guardian gear. I think my favorite team ever was actually a team that was around guardian gear. I had 2 or 3 champions in guardian gear, and it was a 2-to-1 ratio team, and it smacked. It was a great team. So yeah, I'll catch us all later. Have a good one.